guys, Hannah Donnelly here for another episode of On Her Mark, a podcast where we sit down with female athletes, fitness professionals, and women in sports to learn their stories and their why, all in an effort to find inspiration and celebrate those blazing trails for the next generation. And today is a big day, the Women's Beanpot Championship at TD Garden tonight, a historic first for women's hockey. And I'm excited to introduce you to my guest today, Reagan Rust. Reagan is a retired professional hockey player. She's a Boston University alumna, 2019 Beanpot champ. She's a 2020 Hall of Famer, and now she's the assistant coach for Boston University. Reagan, this is so cool.
Well, thank you. I never think about it like that, but it just feels normal.
I also have to say that there's like half of what you've done not in that little introduction, because we were talking before and you feel like you've lived 100 lives, right?
100 lives, honestly, and lived everywhere imaginable.
Yes. Overseas here. Okay, so the Beanpot, this is a first historically at the TD Garden, but it's also really special for you. So talk about first kind of the significance of the Beanpot for Boston.
So Boston as a whole, the Beanpot is the national championship for Boston schools. So the big four I like to consider: BC, BU, Northeastern, and Harvard. And so for us, it's a battle of pride at the end of the day, really. It's two of the hardest games you'll ever play in your entire life, but the most fun that you'll play in. And so we're very fortunate that we always have the best band there supporting us. So at Harvard, we had an incredible show out from all the student athletes, but it's a really big honor to play in the tournament.
And so earlier this week, you guys beat BC to go to the championship. What's special about this group this year?
It's a feeling you get. We've been talking about it a lot since I got here, and it's just, you can tell the difference. You can tell how much they want it, and everything that we've been doing in terms of preparation, in terms of being good teammates and creating a culture that we want to be in, it's just different for the first time in a while. And so I think everybody's starting to feel it, especially after the win. Like, that was a huge boost for us mentally, emotionally, and now we're going to move into the next game.
And okay, so you were on the team in 2019 when you guys won the championship. You also had a big role in the semis going to the championship, scoring in the shootout. Tell me what it's like now, 4 or 5 years later, to be going back as a coach.
It's definitely different. It's funny, too, because the girls keep coming up to me like, Reagan, we watched your shootout. We watched it to get amped up before the game. I was like, guys, relax. It's okay. It's going to be good. But I think coming back, it's honestly, like, I have never loved a school so much. BU is just my pride and joy. And so even while I was away, and I wasn't planning on coming back and coaching, but when I got the offer, I was like, there's just no way I can say no.
Yeah.
And so it's been so good. The girls have been great. They welcomed me. I came in a little bit into the season, and so just to make that transition super easy, they were incredible.
What I love is that, so you do a lot of content creation, and you posted a video recently of Media Day, essentially, for the Beanpot, where your players got to go be interviewed, take photos, videos, all of that stuff, that fun stuff, to play at the Garden. This is the first time that's ever happened, and you were crying in this video.
I was crying. I've been crying a lot recently.
So kind of like explain the significance of playing at TD Garden, and this is like a long time coming for this.
Yeah, definitely. We've seen the men play every single year, and I was on a call recently, and somebody said she was on the first ever Beanpot tournament team, and she's just like, yeah, we just figured, you know what, we'll rotate, it'll be nice, it'll be super small for us, and it'll be super intimate. And now it's like we're on a level playing field for the first time. And I think that's super cool, because on that same video that you were just talking about, I said we had to beg for championship hats. And so now, to be where we are, this is incredible.
That's just wild. And it wasn't that long ago. I think that's the most important thing, right? It's not like that was 20 years ago that you guys were begging to get what, like, the men get that like a handout, like, sure, yeah. You want a hat, you get a hat, you get a hat.
You get a t-shirt, you get hoodies, you get everything.
Yeah. Okay, and so when you mentioned that you transitioned into coaching at BU, but coaching wasn't the immediate first step for you out after college. You went and played professionally. So talk about the professional experience going from BU then to the next level.
So my first year, I ended up playing in the PWHPA, which is no longer around because we have the one condensed league now. But my first year out, I was working full-time at TJX Companies out in Framingham. So I was still living in Boston, training, and it was a few games. We didn't have our own locker room, not our own rink, anything along those lines. I ended up quitting that job in like July 2020 and going to Budapest because I got an offer. And so I was living in Hungary for about 2 months. COVID hit again, came back, and then I was working out in Minneapolis. But I got a message on Instagram actually. Do you want to play pro hockey in Sweden? I was like, sure, where?
Get out.
Yeah.
Slid into those DMs.
Slid into the DMs. That's how I got recruited to play college hockey too. So
oh, it's
wild enough. All in the DMs.
I love it. All right. So then you went over to Sweden. That's where you spent most of the time, right?
Yeah. I spent 9-10 months over there playing my third season, and that was so fun. It was just an incredible experience, the culture, the people, everything. Like I still have some of my best friends over there. And then this past season, I was just outside of New York, so in New Jersey, and that was a truly a professional experience with the Metropolitan Riveters. So it's been a wild journey to see how much it's grown over the past 4 years.
Yeah, and now we have the PWHL, which is here in Boston too. So it's a big moment for women's hockey, which is awesome. What has the transition been like from playing competitively to coaching?
It's funny because I retired 3 times.
Wasn't sure. That's okay. That's all right. Pull the Tom Brady.
Yeah. Well, people just kept sending me offers, so I was like, okay, maybe I will. But yeah, I retired those few times, and let me say, those first few times were really challenging. And then it was this last time I actually had an offer to play in multiple places. And I was in Costa Rica with my sisters, and then I just had a feeling. I was like, I don't think it's for me. So I didn't sign. I called them whenever I got home, and I was like, I think it's time for me to move on. And then I started doing a lot of social media. I started setting a bunch of unrealistic goals, but now I'm here, so I guess it's good.
The bigger the goal, the better.
Yeah, exactly. But I think for me, I still get that competitive drive being with the girls, and like I get to take ownership over different parts of the team. And so for me right now, I'm really honing in on the skill aspect, which is so fun, but I'm very competitive in everything. So even if it's like in practice, I'll just do some competition with the girls.
I love that. So you're still on the ice, you still get that atmosphere, you're still involved. So I want to go, hockey is such a big part of your life, right? It's been your profession, it's been your hobby, your passion, all of those things. You're from Mississippi, and I think hockey's not as big there.
It's a hotbed for hockey, come on.
How did you first get into hockey?
I started going to Memphis River Kings games with my aunt and my sister. So my mama told my aunt to go one day, and then she started going. She was like, oh, you guys should come with us. And so I was 5 years old, my sister was 7, and then that year they ended up making a rec league. And they're like, you guys should come out, it's gonna be so much fun. There's gonna be so many girls. My sister and I show up, it's us two, one other girl and 30 boys. And so from there, we just traveled all over Nashville, Pittsburgh, St. Louis, Detroit, driving 12 hours there, 12 hours back every other weekend.
Which is crazy. And you were playing on a boys team. So that kind of those small number of girls continued, right? Throughout a lot of your childhood. Props to your mom.
Oh, she is a beauty.
Like 12 hours.
She's one of those dedicated hockey parents, that's for sure.
She must be so proud now to see it all pay off, right?
Yeah, definitely. She always tuned into my games wherever I was. I ended up gifting her like one of my jerseys just to say like, this is as much mine as it is yours. So it is a full experience with her.
What was it like playing on the boys teams? Was it significant for you, or was it just like, this is what I do?
It was a little bit of both.
Okay.
I mean, I had my best friend with me, which is so nice. I just saw her a couple weeks ago for the first time in a while, but we grew up playing together, driving all those hours. Like, there's nobody I've sat in a car with longer than my best friend Kyla. And so I think for us, we always had each other, so it wasn't too big of a deal. And the boys just treated us like we were one of them. And so they had a lot of respect for us. And I think that was the biggest thing, just be able to have that sort of connection with them.
So now today, to see so many more youth girls programs, to see so many more opportunities for young women in the sport, and to also look up to the pros and to have an example of what it can look like. Do you wish that you had something like that as a young girl?
Yeah, I think for me, I didn't even really know. Like, that was the thing. So I think I always looked up to the male hockey players. I saw the semi-pro guys that played for the Memphis River Kings. And then I started to see, oh, there's a U.S. Olympic team for women's. And I saw Julie Chu, and that was really crazy to be on the bench. Like I ended up playing against her team in college. And so that was super cool because I kept her index card in my wallet for 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
That said, "Dream big, Julie Chu." And
How cool is that?
yeah, so I think as I got a little bit older, started playing for the girls' teams, then I got to see all that there was with women's hockey.
I love that. And I love that there's like, this is a big moment for it right now. And between the Beanpot and then the Pro League coming to Boston. And I just think this is a crucial time, and you guys are setting such a strong example. One thing I also want to talk about is that you've been a huge advocate for mental health. We were just joking before of kind of like what you go through as an athlete, especially at a collegiate level, and then go into the world and you're like, oh, I'm a person now.
I'm just
not
a regular human being.
Yeah. But kind of talk about your mental health journey and why. I guess maybe let's start with the Female Athlete Society, which you founded in 2020, and what that is and why it was important to you.
So Female Athlete Society started because when I was younger, I didn't see everything that I could potentially be one day. And so I wanted it to be a mentorship program, and we had hundreds and hundreds of girls reach out. And so basically I put out a video on TikTok when I got back from Budapest and ended up getting over 100,000 likes and over 2,000 DMs, like Instagram, TikTok, both of them were broken. And so they were all asking about the same thing, like, how do I stay disciplined? How do I get the motivation to work out? What should I be eating? Where should I be working? Like all those things that go into being a female athlete. And I was like, I gotta do something.
Yeah.
And so I made an offline site just to where it was like a community for all female athletes. So at one point we had over 400 athletes from 15 countries, and we would do once a month, maybe twice a month calls, and they could ask any questions. And then it was just like a full feed where they can put whatever they want in there. And so tons of resources, meetings, all that stuff.
And that's such a huge part of it, because I think a lot of times when we look at women's sports, the big difference, I guess, between it and men's sports is the men have more resources. Women, we're getting there, but they have more resources. And so what, especially when it comes to like mental wellness, mental fitness, and mental health, what were the biggest questions that these athletes had and needed resources for?
I think for the mental health side of it, it was like, I don't know where to even start. And that was the hardest thing for me, trying to figure out. And now just putting those resources, like, this is exactly like a step-by-step, like you need to talk to your parents or like a trusted adult, something along those lines. And then when it came to the mental performance side, it was more so the discipline, the motivation, the how do I keep showing up even when I'm not seeing the results. And so those were really big things. But I think what you learn as being an athlete is that every single thing takes time. And you just have to keep showing up, keep putting in the work, and it's been very rewarding to be able to see that payoff.
And so you've been open about struggling with mental health, and you've kind of experienced it at all ages, right? So was it 14?
14
is when it started, and so like those high school years versus collegiate years versus adulthood are like different beasts in a lot of ways.
Of their own.
Yeah. So what's your best piece of advice for someone kind of in those teen years trying to navigate depression, anxiety, and kind of that stress levels?
I think the first thing is just being able to reach out. And that was something that I couldn't pull myself to do. I wasn't strong enough at that point, and I didn't know who to turn to either. And so I think like if you know somebody that you can reach out to, that's the first step. And then just being honest with yourself, like, I'm not okay, and I do need help, and it's okay to ask for help. And so just being willing to have that conversation.
Because it makes you a better person, a better athlete, all of those things when you have the support that you need. And it's okay to not be okay. What was the impact that sharing some of those struggles with your teammates had on you? Did it kind of like lift this weight for you?
Yeah, I think the first time I actually started talking about it was in 10th grade when I went to prep school. And a lot of those people I'm still friends with today, which is amazing. But seeing them be open with their struggles as well, I think that's what made me start to feel comfortable. And then I started doing it in college too, because I mean, you're a family when you're in college. Like, you're with each other almost 24/7.
Yeah.
Scary amount of time.
It's a lot. It's a lot of time.
And so I think getting that support, especially whenever I was going through, when I first transferred to BU, the coaching staff, they're like, if you need a day, whatever time you need, you take it, because we want you to be the best version of yourself. And we're here to support you in whatever way possible. So that was really nice to hear.
So I think I read something or heard something that at BU, you guys have a no questions asked.
Yes.
Can you explain that? Because this is the coolest thing.
Yeah, we didn't really have it. It wasn't like a super like told thing whenever I was in school, but with Watchorn and Myers, they said, yeah, it's just a day where if you're not feeling your best, that's okay. You just say, I think I'm going to take my no questions asked day, and we ask no questions. And then they can come and talk to us after if they want to, but for the most part, it's just, if you need a day, it's yours.
That's so important for creating a safe space, right? And because I think when you look at collegiate athletes, especially, like, no person is going to be like, I just want to like phone in the day. I just want to like not work hard, right? Like there's a reason for taking the no questions asked.
Yeah, and we've had quite a few girls take it too, which has been really cool to see.
Yeah.
And I think it just goes to show like how safe of an environment we've made for them to like feel comfortable to take it, because there was no chance a lot of us wanted to take it back when I was in college, or maybe
100%.
you either.
Oh my gosh, I remember when I was in college and playing volleyball, we, for the first few years, we all just like heads down doing our thing. And it was about my senior year, there was like some murmurs of people kind of sharing some of their struggles and things. And then all of a sudden, a few of us looked at each other and we were like, are we all in the same boat? Like, are we all feeling the same way? Yeah. And we were. And then all of a sudden we started sharing it with each other, and it was like, oh, we have a support system right here. And it made everything better. It made practice easier because you were like, okay, someone's got my back. Not that they didn't have your back before, but when they know what you're going through, it's so much better.
So much better.
It's so much better. Yeah, I know. And that was what, 10 years ago for me. So times have changed. Hopefully times have changed there. So I think that's really cool with what you guys are doing at BU. Okay, so when you look at I guess we're recording this before, but when you look at the championship, what's it going to take for your girls to bring it home?
I think it's just a mentality.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I think they're already starting to believe that they are champions, and that's the biggest thing. They already know how to play. They've been playing their entire lives. It's nothing different than the games that we're playing this weekend, last weekend, anything along those lines. Like, they are very confident in who they are, not only as players, but also as people. And I think the culture that we've created gives them the opportunity just to showcase whatever they have. And we know that they got a lot.
Yeah. What do you hope that young girls, boys, and even their parents feel on Tuesday night when they watch you guys take the ice?
Probably a lot of emotions. Like, I might be tearing up. We'll see. I was tearing up at the PW game. We took all the girls to that, and so I think for them to see that, and now they're going to have all the eyes on them. And I think that's a really cool experience for them, because they're going to be professionals soon. And I hope they just have a sense of pride in everything that we've accomplished so far. It's come a long way since the 80s.
Yeah, and I think that's a really cool thing about this moment. We're talking, I'm asking about this next generation, but I think it's so significant for the generations that came before and paved the way. And it's like, it's this moment of pride of like, what we worked for, it's coming, it's happening.
Yeah.
Because this is what so many have pushed for years. We were just chatting with a few alum of Northeastern, and they were, sorry, I know that's a...
It's fine, no worries.
But they were chatting about how this is so significant, and how they're flying in for this. Like, this is a big moment.
We have one of our biggest fans coming in from Notre Dame, actually.
Wow.
She'll be flying in. There's people that want to tune in from all over the world, but it's only going to be showcased, I think, in US and Canada. But I hope one day that everybody in Europe and New Zealand and Australia, like, if they want to watch it, they can watch it too.
Yeah.
So it's a huge deal.
This is really, really fun. Okay, so we've kind of talked about your hockey career. We've talked about the Female Athlete Society, but you do a lot of content creation and all of these. What's still on your bucket list to do?
I feel like I've done a lot. When it comes to hockey, I think I'd love to branch into more sports too, and just be able to bridge that gap, because there's so many amazing female athletes. I was a season ticket holder to Angel City FC out in LA.
Lucky duck.
Yeah. And when I was out there, it was incredible to go to those games, and they were just sold out almost every single game. And all the basketball players, like, I went to a Connecticut Suns game recently, and they are so good at basketball.
So good.
And then we met some of the Liberty girls as well whenever I was playing with the Metropolitan Riveters. First of all, they're like 6'8".
It's wild.
And they're incredible.
They're like the most physically fit, like, just Amazing. Amazing. TV doesn't do it justice. You got to go to a game in person.
Yeah, so I'd love to make it to more of their games and be able to showcase their talents as well, just because, I mean, the more eyes on female athletes, the better.
I love that. I love that. You love to travel.
Love.
Okay, so bucket list of vacation or travel.
Ooh, I want to go to Bora Bora.
Okay.
And there's so many. I want to go back to the Philippines and see my family.
Okay.
Which would be really nice. I've been to 30 countries already, but I want to make it to every single one. So I don't know if that's going to be possible in the next 10 years, but
set the goal high.
Yeah, we're going to set it high.
Set the goal high.
We're going to go to all of them.
I love that. What has been your favorite location that you've traveled so far? I know you mentioned, wasn't it Sweden that you loved being, but is that it, or is there another?
I loved living in Sweden. Sweden was great. Well, minus like the 3-hour sunlight in the winter. That one was tough. But Croatia was great. Prague was great. Definitely the Philippines. Like it was unmatched getting to go there for the first time with my mom, with my entire family, and then meeting our other family that's been there. Yeah. And so definitely Philippines.
I love that. I haven't been there, and I'm
highly recommend.
I'm dying to go. Okay, so I ask everyone this question on tough days, and I feel like this carries maybe a little more weight for you as someone who's been open and vulnerable with people about pushing through. Do you have a mantra that gets you through?
I say it's everything's gonna work out. It's all gonna work out. And then I just repeat that to myself when I'm super stressed, or like if I have so many things on my to accomplish list or whatever it is. I'm just like, take a breath. We're good.
Yeah, I love that. And what do you do if it's all going to work out? How do you keep yourself grounded every day in those moments of high stress or low days and things like that? I know you were open about a little over a year ago on your social media platform. What keeps you grounded?
My friends, my support system. I call them very often, especially if I'm having a bad day. I just know like seeing their face is going to make me feel a lot better. Yeah. That running now, I'm running a marathon soon.
You are? Which one?
My own personal marathon.
I love this. Oh my gosh, when are you doing this?
On my birthday, February 25th.
Oh my God, this is
for
amazing.
mental health, actually. Yeah.
Get out. Wait, tell us more about this. Where did this idea come from?
Where did it come from? Well, I kept telling myself, I was like, I'll never run a marathon. Like, I know I could do it. I don't want to. Yeah. And so it was like that limiting belief. And I wanted to just get rid of it. I was like, I'm already running. I may as well just start training. And so my best friend ran the Boston Marathon, ran a track at BU, and he was like, I'll be your coach. I was like, perfect. And then the idea is to have 25 other people run it with me. So the first mile, I'll tell my story with mental health. Second mile, somebody else will tell their story, and then continue until the 26th or 25th mile. I hope like my team will come and run the last bit with me, and then it'll just be a full experience for student athlete mental health to raise awareness for it.
That's incredible. And so it's at the end of February. Is that what you said? Okay, where are you running it? In Boston here?
Just all around Boston. I don't really have the set like track for it.
No, but this is incredible. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Talk about things like dreaming big. This is phenomenal. Yeah. Okay. Are you raising money? Like, can people donate? Tell the people. Tell the people.
I was gonna make an announcement after the Beanpot.
Okay.
I wanted to focus on, no, you're good. But I was focusing on the Beanpot more than anything, and then I'll make the announcement about like where to donate and everything.
Amazing.
But there's 3 organizations that I want to give the money back to, 3 that I've worked with in the past, and it's all regarding student athletes that have been majorly impactful. And so there's like one of them, for example, is a football player from Washington State, and I met some of his family through a podcast. And so there's that. There's the Victoria Garrick's Foundation. So I'm going to work with all of those different ones.
That's incredible. It's so important, and I love that you mentioned you brought in a football player there too, because it's important for men and women to reach out for mental health support and to get that, especially in sports. Get rid of the stigma. I think we're making progress, but
slow progress. But over time, it'll get there.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so you're running a marathon. You're running. That keeps you grounded. I'm sure that keeps you going forward.
Yeah. My 10-mile runs have been long.
Yeah. Do you listen to music? Are you silence?
Music, silence, podcasts, and then like I was saying before, when I come and do side quests, I've been getting on those. Like if I see people, I'll start talking to them, or like go jump into North End and see what's happening down there. But
amazing, amazing. This is awesome. Tell people where they can find you on the socials.
Ray.Rust on Instagram and Reagan Rust on TikTok.
Amazing. Well, good luck next week or tonight, whenever you're listening to this. And thanks for taking the time to be here.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.